Today's episode of Buy Black Podcast is brought to you by Mike D's Barbecue. If you want to add some flavor to your cookout this Labor Day, throw some D's on it. Visit buyblackpodcast.com/BBQ to order Mike's award-winning signature sauces and rubs. Use the promo code BUYBLACK to get free shipping and an exclusive gift just for the Buy Black Podcast community. Now let's start the show. Customers become clients very quickly when they know that they can come to you even if they have a problem that isn't directly related to what you do, right? You want to be the guy who knows a guy, right? Everybody says this, like, oh, how did you get this done? Oh, I got a guy for that, right? You want to be that guy. You want to be the person that anybody can come to and say, hey, I have a problem with this. And you can point that person to the direct answer that they can get or the direct person who can solve that problem for them. Be the guy who knows a guy. Buy Black Podcast, episode 53. Customers versus clients. 5 steps to convert and grow your business relationships. Welcome to Buy Black, the voice of Black business. The only podcast that provides free marketing for growing Black companies, education for budding entrepreneurs, and a reliable place for consumers to find and spend money in quality Black-owned businesses. I'm your host, Gerald Jones, and if you learned something from this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating or review on iTunes. Ready? Let's get to work. Hey everybody, welcome back to Buy Black Podcast, the voice of Black business. Today, we are going to be talking about customers and clients. That's right, customers and clients. I wanted to talk about this subject because it came up in a book that I was just reading this last week. I was reading a book called The $100 Startup. And in that book, the author, he gives a little bit of a metaphor talking about a restaurant. And the metaphor that he uses in this restaurant is, you know, imagine if you go to a really nice restaurant. It's a Friday night. You're looking for a great meal and you order the salmon and risotto off the menu. And then about 2 or 3 minutes later, the chef comes from the back of the kitchen and he basically starts telling you all of the process that's going to have to go into creating that salmon and creating the risotto, and then says, hey, grab an apron, come back here, we'll get started in about 5 minutes. You know, what do you think about that experience in the restaurant? Obviously, you know, you went to a restaurant so that someone could cook you a great meal and you just get it on your plate and you eat it. And the moral of the story that he was sharing was, if you want to really take care of your customers, if you really want to take care of your clients, then don't think that they really want to know all of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Don't think that they want to get involved. They want you to give them the complete meal. They want you to solve the problem for them. And so reading that, first of all, it really clicked a light bulb in my head about how I need to structure anything that I build. But then it also got me thinking about kind of the difference between customers and clients, because true enough, your customers definitely want you to just give them the answer so they can go about their business. But depending on the type of client you might have, your clients might want you to teach them how to cook the fish, right? Depending on what business or service it is that you have. And so that got me thinking about the differences between customers and clients, why we shouldn't mix the two up, and most importantly, if we have a business or if we work in an industry where we deal with customers every single day, how to turn those customers into clients. And that's whether you have your own business or whether you're working in another business. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And let's just jump straight into it. First of all, just kind of the definitions. And again, these are not the dictionary.com definitions. These are my definitions. So talking about the differences and definitions between clients and customers. A customer is someone who comes to you and they buy either a product from you or they buy a very basic service from you. I mean, very basic. And when I'm talking about a product, right? They come into your grocery store and they buy a can of tomatoes and then they leave, right? Or very basic service. Hey, they come to your car wash and they pay you some money. The car goes through the wash and then it comes out and they leave, right? You give them value immediately in exchange for their money. That's a customer. Now, compare that to a client. When you talk about a client and client relationships, normally people think about professional services like a lawyer or an accountant or even a consultant, someone like that, right? That's what you think about when you think about a client, because a client may purchase a product from you, but typically they're purchasing a service from you. And the difference between that client and that customer is the service that they're expecting from you is based on your specific expertise. They're getting something from you that they can't get just going down the street and buying a product from somewhere else. And so the trick with all of this is that you want to be able to take your customers and you want to build as many client relationships as you can from your customer base. If you have an existing business that's based on the customer transaction model, or if you work within a company where you are dealing with customer service every single day, you're interacting with customers, maybe it's a retail environment, and you're making sales and transactions every day. Even when you're in that role, when it's not your business, you can build a client base even when you don't own your own business. And we're going to talk a little bit about how. So first of all, giving you some examples of customer relationships. People who get a gym membership, they are customers of that gym. People who go to a car dealership and they buy a car, it's a customer of that car dealership and of the car salesman who sold it to them. People who go into a store and buy a cell phone, they're a customer of that company. They're a customer of the store. I used the example of car washes a second ago, or even pet supplies. Those are examples of customers. However, those relationships can be transformed very easily if you work in the gym and you develop a relationship with someone based on your expertise. They can become a personal training client, right? So I've got a gym membership. I'm a customer of the gym, but I'm now also your client as my personal trainer, right? Or when we talked about car sales, you can very easily build up a base of people who only come to you when they need a new car and only refer people to you when they need a new car. And when they have questions about either their car or a different car or anything that's related to cars and the features and the benefits and the uses and all those things, if you become their expert and they come to you exclusively, that's a client. That's a client relationship that you have with them. Same thing can happen with cell phones. Same thing can happen with car washes. Hey, I don't want to go to the car wash. I want to have a personal car detailer. I only go to this person to detail my car because I know that they're going to do it right. I know that they're going to teach me how to take care of my car, to make the paint last longer, to make sure I avoid scratches, to make sure that my interior stays brand new. Like, I'm going to this person for their expertise in making sure that my vehicle stays pristine for as long as possible. That's a client relationship. And the same thing with pet care. It's one thing to buy pet supplies. It's another thing to have a relationship with somebody who can teach you how to best take care of your pets so that they're happy, they're healthy, they live longer. And this may even be a person who, the only person I take my pet to when I've got to go out of town, I'm going to leave my pet with them because I trust them. They may be the person who grooms my pet. They may be the person who walks my pet. Whatever that is, you can build a client relationship with somebody who starts off as a customer. So let me give you a couple of examples from my experience with this. So a long time ago, I sold cars. I sold cars between, I think it was like 2004 and 2005. And I sold cars at a Nissan dealership, and I sold cars at an Infiniti dealership, and then back to Nissan before I left that industry. And one of the things that I did as I was selling cars is that, I had a laptop, and I would take my customer's information, and sure, the dealership gets their information, but I would take information from my customer, and I would get, their personal information, their contact information, their birthday. And if they were willing, I would get the birthdays of their family members as well. And I would capture all that stuff inside of an Access database on my laptop. And then I sent out birthday cards and holiday cards to all the people who were on my customer list. If you ever bought a car from me, you continually got follow-up and reconnection from me, especially on special days for you, for your family, and things like that. What ended up happening out of that is that people started coming back to me. And when they would come back to me, it would either be because they need a new car, or their kid needs a new car, or a family member needed a new car. Or sometimes they wouldn't even come into the store. They would just call me and say, hey, I've got a friend who's got a question about this or that. And I would answer those questions for them. Over time, those people became so loyal to me in selling cars that when I left the car industry and I started selling cell phones at AT&T, I had people calling me who were looking to buy a car from me. I told them that I was working at AT&T, and they came over and they switched their service from some other provider to AT&T, or they just started coming to me exclusively if they already had AT&T. The relationships that I built with those people, the trust that I built with them was so strong that they just said, I don't care what you're selling. If I need it, I'm coming to you. That's a client type relationship. And it's way more profitable, and it's way more valuable for both sides than just having customers who come in, they buy something from you one time, and then the next time they come back, they might buy it from you or they might buy it from somebody else. So even if you don't have your own business, you can create a client base who is loyal to you. And that's something you definitely want if you want to build a career, whether it's as an entrepreneur or as an intrapreneur within a larger company. So one thing I want you to notice is all the examples that I gave you earlier. The example of a personal trainer, the example of a car salesman or a cell phone salesman, or, a car detailer or a pet groomer. None of these require some kind of high level degree. They don't require you to go out and get these professional certifications for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. The only thing that it requires is for you to demonstrate expertise in that particular arena. And it requires you to build personal relationships with people that are based on trust and respect. That's how you move customers into the realm of being clients. That's what I'm going to tell you today. That's what you need to do. Your mission after listening to this episode is, if you have a business and you interact with customers, which means that they buy a product or a service from you, they give you money, you immediately give them their product or that service, and then you move on. If you have that type of a business and you haven't been cultivating the relationships to turn those customers into clients, that's your mission going away from this show. Converting your customers to loyal clients. And when we come back from the break, I'm going to give you 5 easy steps to make that happen. Stay tuned. So Labor Day is almost here, and I know how y'all are out there. You're trying to get a one-up on your neighbors. You're trying to make sure that your cookout is lit and everybody else's cookout is not quite such a hit. Well, let me tell you from experience, there is no better grill master secret to have in your corner than Mike D's award-winning signature sauces and dry rubs. We keep at least 3 bottles of the signature sauce and spicy sauce in our pantry at all times. The secret to Mike's success is his little twist on the traditional flavors that you'd find in barbecue sauce. He draws from his African-American roots and his Latino roots to give you something just a little different, a little spicier, a little bit more twangy. And I'm telling you, it works on ribs, it works on beef, it works on chicken, pretty much anything that you can put mics, sauces, and rubs on, it is going to take it to the next level. Visit buyblackpodcast.com/BBQ to order your spicy and original mix set today and use the promo code BUYBLACK, that's BUYBLACK, to get free shipping and an exclusive gift with your order. That's buyblackpodcast.com/BBQ and the promo code BUYBLACK. Now let's get back to the show. All right, guys, we are back. And as promised, we're going to roll into those 5 easy steps that you can take to convert your customers to clients and grow loyal business relationships. All right, so the first step is going to be to deliver unexpected expertise. All right, deliver unexpected expertise. If people come to you and they're expecting to just be able to buy something and walk away, and you deliver more than that, you answer questions that they didn't know that they had. You are able to give them more insight into the purchase and how it's going to solve their problem than they expected. That's going to put you in a different light. It's going to cast you a little bit above the rest of your peers. And a huge way to do that is just to listen intently. You want to listen to the questions and the concerns, but you also want to pay attention to body language. Because a lot of times people, through their body language and through the things that they're not saying, will kind of let you know the concerns that they have. And so if you can pay very close attention to what people are saying and what they're not saying, and then answer the questions that they haven't even asked yet, to put them at ease, to make them feel more comfortable, you're going to build trust with that person. It's going to show them that you care about them. So always look for ways that you can provide answers and solutions to problems in a proactive way. All right, the second thing that you're going to do, number 2, is connect people with the resources or other experts that they need. All right, connect people with the resources or other experts that they need. And this really just boils down to becoming a kind of a concierge for your customers. Now, to do this, you need to have a really strong peer network of other professionals. You need to know a lot of people who can do a lot of different things so that you can be that concierge. Customers become clients very quickly when they know that they can come to you even if they have a problem that isn't directly related to what you do. Right? You want to be the guy who knows a guy, right? Everybody says this, like, oh, how did you get this done? Oh, I got a guy for that, right? You want to be that guy. You want to be the person that anybody can come to and say, hey, I have a problem with this. And you can point that person to the direct answer that they can get or the direct person who can solve that problem for them. Be the guy who knows a guy. All right. Another thing that you want to do is you want to make yourself available to those customers away from the office. Right. And this is a delicate line. You definitely have to tiptoe this because people will take advantage if you make yourself too available and you do it for free. So walk this one carefully, but you definitely want to give your customers your contact information and you want to take their calls for free for a limited time. And this really mainly applies like if you have a business that's based on the transaction model rather than the client model already, then this is really for you. If you've already got a business and it's based on a client model and people know, hey, if I want to get access to you, I need to be a client, I need to pay for your services, then this really doesn't apply. This is for people who are trying to convert customers into clients. And so that initial relationship building, you want to give them your contact information. You want to encourage them to ask you questions away from the office, and you want to be available when they call. You want to answer those calls. You want to answer their questions thoroughly or get them to the resources that they need thoroughly. And you want to be consistent in doing this. And I'd say for a new customer, for a customer who's taken advantage of that, I would say maybe a month, depending on how often they call you, a month or 2 months of this kind of free access to you and your expertise. Because what you're doing is you're demonstrating the value of having that access, that client level access to you. If you have people who see you as a goods or service provider and they're a customer and they just see you as a transaction they have to make periodically, you're not going to immediately be able to go to them and say, hey, so, I'm available for $100 an hour if you just want to call me for answers to your questions. That's not going to work. They're not going to see the value in that. And so you convert them by giving them that free access. You demonstrate that value to them. And then at a point in the future, you're going to basically present them with your coaching or your consulting offer. Right? So you've already demonstrated the value, and then you tell them, hey, so I offer this service for this certain amount of money per hour, or this certain flat rate that you would be able to pay to have access to me to do this service or that service for you. Right? So that's what you do. You make yourself available. You make sure that you answer their questions. You do it for free for a period of time. And then once you've demonstrated the value, you present them with your coaching or consulting offer, which leads us right into number 4. So step number 4, to convert customers to clients, you need to have a coaching or consulting offer ready at all times. Don't wait until somebody has come to you and said, hey, I would love to pay you for this access. How much do you charge? To be like, I don't know. I'll get back to you. Right? And I'm telling you, don't do that, because that is what I did. Right? When I first started, I was very much I just want to help people. I just want to help people. I just want to help people. Come to me. I will give you this advice. I will give you this support. I will be here for you, blah, 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 blah. And then when people started asking me how much I charge, I didn't have an answer for them. I didn't have an answer for what they get when they do come to me for coaching services. I didn't have an answer. I just knew I want to help people. I can help people. Find me. That doesn't work. That doesn't work very well for a lot of reasons. The most important reason you may not even be thinking about, but the main reason that doesn't work is that people expect to pay for the value that they get from you. Let me repeat that. The people who get value from you and your expertise expect to pay you for that value. They understand that they're going to need to pay you handsomely for the value that you give to them. And if you're not charging them, you may lose them. True story. When I first started testing my chops at coaching and providing advice to people, I had a friend of mine. He had been a colleague in the past. He was moving into a different part of his life as an entrepreneur, and he wanted to hire me for coaching. And so we started this kind of tepid relationship, and we would connect about once a month for an hour, which would turn into 2 hours, which would turn into 2.5 hours. And he was just sharing the things that were going on in his life. I was giving him advice. I was sharing the things that were going on in my life that would also be useful for him and his advice. And we would just talk. And he would take all of these notes, and he would take all of these action points to take for the next time that we talked. And I just felt great about myself. I was able to help this person, right? And then we would come back again, and it would be another 2 to 2.5 hours. And it was just constant brain picking, constant note taking, and then going and doing things with it. And it happened 3 or 4 times, and I didn't think anything of it. I was like, this is great. I'm adding value. And after 3 or 4 times, he said, I don't feel right taking up all of your time like this without you charging me. I need you to give me a coaching agreement. I need to be charged for this. And I wasn't ready. I was like, okay, I guess I'll try to throw something together. How does maybe this amount of money sound? And I way undercharged him. But he happily paid, the amount that I thought was extravagant, but it was well under the amount of value that I was providing. And then, of course, I wasn't sticking to 1 hour. I was actually staying on the phone with him for 2, sometimes 2.5 hours. But up until the point where we actually set out that agreement, our relationship was actually going downhill. In fact, it got to a point where he just ghosted me for a while before he came back and said, hey, we need to actually have an agreement. And he ghosted because he felt bad. He felt like he was taken advantage, and he also didn't understand why I wouldn't charge him. And so instead of kind of facing this awkward, weird situation, he just said, you know what, I've got to step away from this person because I feel like I'm taking advantage of him, and he doesn't value himself. It was a massive lesson that I learned in that. And since then, what I've figured out and what I'm telling you guys is, if you remember that phrase, good fences make good neighbors, that is a really good metaphor to use to remember why you need to charge people for your services. Good fences make good neighbors. But in this case, the neighbors are the different types of relationships that you can have with a person. A person can be your customer. They can be your client. They could be your friend. They could be your family member. But each one of those different relationships, that's a different neighbor. And each one of those relationships needs a really good fence in between it. And that fence is the agreement, preferably a written agreement, that separates those relationships and explains what is provided inside of each individual relationship. If I have a friend who is also a client, we need to have an agreement of all the things that fit within that client relationship. And it's written down, it's agreed upon. That person signs it, I sign it, or you sign it. And there's an agreed upon fee for this. There's an agreed upon way to end the relationship. There's all of the lines that fit within that are written out and agreed upon and signed and then stored by both of you. And so whenever you roll into a situation where you're in that client relationship, all the things about the friendship or the family or anything else, that's out of the window at that point, right? That is a client. You are the expert. You all are working within those bounds. And then when that engagement is over with, you go back to being friends, being family, whatever. Now, that doesn't mean that the knowledge that you have of this person as a friend or as a family member can't be used to better serve them as a client. But what it really means is that while we're in this role, I'm going to respect your confidentiality. You're going to respect my time and my expertise. We're going to go about the business that we have ahead of us. And then when we end, we go back to everything that exists between us as friends and as family. Doing that keeps things neat. It keeps things clean. It keeps your relationships strong, because there's never a point where you feel taken advantage of, they feel taken advantage of, or they feel like they're taking advantage of you. And then also you are demonstrating to them that you value them, you value their relationship, but you also value yourself and your expertise. And people respect people who value themselves and also value relationships enough to make sure that things are clear. Nobody likes a muddy relationship. Nobody likes uncertainty in a relationship. So you need to have a coaching or consulting offer ready whenever someone says, I want to start a relationship like that with you. How's that going to look? You need to be able to lay them out a plan for how that's going to look. The final thing in that part, when you do set your services, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, don't undervalue your services. Don't undervalue your value, if you will. Nobody is going to hire a $25 an hour consultant or coach. It's just not going to happen. Make sure that whatever rates you set, whether it's per hour or per event or whatever it is, whatever rate you set actually demonstrates a reasonable value for your expertise and your time. And if you don't know how to manage that, a really good place to start for most businesses or most entrepreneurs is $100 an hour, right? That's a kind of an understood place where you can start. And then you will find out how you need to adjust your rates based on if you've got clients who are signing up left and right and you've got more clients than you have time, then obviously you're not charging enough for what it is that you offer. They really value it and you're giving them a deal. So you need to raise your rates. Same thing if you offer, $100 an hour and people are saying, oh, God, a little bit too much. And they kind of refuse it. They turn it away. Now you kind of realize, okay, well, the way that I'm presenting my services or my offer, people aren't seeing the value in it. You can ask those folks, what is it about the service that I offer that makes you feel like it's not worth that much, or what would I need to be providing to you in order for you to see the value in what I provide? And then take that feedback and develop your offer better, develop your services and your products better so that you can reasonably charge at least that $100 an hour, and people will see the value in it. Because I don't recommend setting your rates anywhere below that. Anything below that, you're giving away your time, you're giving away your energy, and you're not demonstrating that you value yourself enough. Now, that said, the fifth and final step to converting customers to clients, you need to prove that you care about them, not their money. Prove that you care about them, not their money. So I just spent a lot of time telling you, you need to make sure that you charge people money. But that money that's just the key that unlocks the door. That's all that is. If you focus on the money, if you focus on how can I make more money, or how can I charge more for this, or how can I do this or do that, you're going to lose sight on what's most important with having clients. And that is the relationship. It's the trust. And so the money that you charge them, that's just the key to the gate in that fence that we talked about, that walks them through so that they can get access to your expertise and to your value on the other side. But once that money is paid, that transaction is done. Now, within the confines of that coaching or consulting relationship, you show how much you care about them. You genuinely make sure that you are solving their problems or helping them solve their problems, depending on what type of service you provide. Right? That's how you create real value. You want to make sure that you are removing stress and you're simplifying your client's life. Remove stress and simplify your client's life. Think back to the restaurant example. I walk into the restaurant because I want you to cook me a fantastic meal. I don't want the stress of having to go back into the kitchen and get all sweaty and chop things up and watch the risotto so it doesn't burn and make sure all of these different things. That's why I came to you, so that I could have the stress removed from me and you can just make things simple and help me solve my problems or solve the problems for me. Alternatively, as a client, I came to your cooking class so that you could show me the exact steps that I need to take to make the perfect salmon and risotto. I don't want to have to fumble over some recipe that's on Pinterest and end up with a Pinterest fail, and my girlfriend or my wife or my husband or my boyfriend or whoever it is, they're looking at me like I've completely lost my mind because I ruined a meal. No, I came to you as a client so that you could make sure that I succeed 100% of the time. That's what I'm looking for. Make sure that if you have a client relationship, that's what you're providing. And then finally, you want to make sure that in everything you do and interactions with your clients, you want to put their happiness and their well-being at the forefront of that relationship. Always. Their happiness, their well-being at the forefront of that client relationship. Always. And when you do that, you show people that you truly care about them as people, as individuals. That's the basis of any great relationship. That's the basis of a long-lasting client relationship. And when you do that, when you put people first, when you put your clients first, not only will they keep coming back to you for your expertise, they will keep buying your products and your services from you that they were buying when they were initially just customers. And they're going to do everything that they can to bring other customers and other new clients to you and your business, because they know that you care about them. They care about you and they want to see you succeed, but they also know that you've got the value that other people need. They care about their friends. They care about their family. They want to bring them to the best. You prove to your customers that you're the best, and they will become clients. You continue to prove to your clients that you're the best and that you care about them, and they are going to continue to bring you more customers and more clients. And that's how you grow a business. That's how you grow relationships over time. So that's all we have for today, folks. My number one piece of advice to you, as you've heard 3 times already in this show, prove that you care about your customers and clients, not about their money. Prove that you care about your customers and clients, not about their money. Build relationships, build your business, grow stronger. All right. Thanks for joining me for episode number 53 of Buy Black Podcast. If you have any questions that you would like to have answered on the show, remember we're going to start doing a monthly question and answer show. Send those questions to questions@buyblackpodcast.com, and I will be happy to read them on the air and give answers to you in that upcoming first episode of our question and answer series. All right. Thanks again, and we will catch you guys next week. Out. Want to show your support for Buy Black Podcast? Become a patron and get exclusive access to behind-the-scenes content and a shout-out in our new question and answer monthly episode. Make your first donation by visiting patreon.com/buyblackpodcast and send your questions for the show to questions@buyblackpodcast.com. Talk to you soon.